Yo, what is going on, viewers of the tube? My name is Tyler and welcome to the channel that has better predictions than Nostradamus holding a lucky rabbit's foot in a field of four-leaf clovers on July 7th, 1577. You know the drill, it's time for Chico Crypto. All I gotta say is link and look at it go. Sure did call that pump, making 2 videos in the past 2 weeks, calling for big moves from that stanky coin. And something big could be announced. The first one is Chainlink. That crypto asset I'm talking about is Chainlink. I would love to get into deep what just came regarding Intel, Hyperledger, and the Trusted Compute Framework, but that's for another video. Let's now take a look at the recent Bitcoin price movements. Pulling up the 1-month chart, it's obvious to see the back breakdown when 10K support was lost. Throughout the end of September, we touched 8K support once, and then on September 30th, broke under it for a quick second, getting to 7,800, which was followed by a solid rebound to 8,500, which now became resistance and not support. It got rejected, and the price kept deflating down, back under 8K support, although reaching a higher low of above 7,900, and as of shooting this video is once again reaching to test 8,500 resistance. Now the reason this range is so important is because back in May of this year there was intense price action in this range as well. When the price first pumped, it went from 5K to 8K before correcting down to 7,300 extremely quickly, and then coming back to the 8K range. Thus, this 7,300 would be the bottom end of support. As we can see, back in May, the price then pumped up to 8,500 resistance, was rejected once back down to the 7,600 to 8K range, before pumping to nearly 14K. Thus, today we have 3 support levels, 8K, 7.6K, and then 7.3K. Any breakdown under this would most likely result in a quick drop, single candle down. Resistance is 8,500, and we need to push through this and stay above it to turn bullish. So where are we headed? Well, I did a live stream over the weekend and found some interesting things happening between Bakkt, blocked OTC trades, Mike Novogratz's Galaxy Digital, and none other than Tether. And a big move is coming, which old Mikey knows about, and he is about to make out like a bandit on. What do I mean? Well, let me explain. Back on October 4th, it was announced by ICE, Bakkt's parent company, that Bakkt conducted the first block trade on October 1st between Galaxy Digital and crypto OTC desk XPTO. This block trade is a privately negotiated trade with a certain minimum size threshold, which is submitted through the exchange and cleared through ICE. So what size was this trade? Well, no details on the size, but in the normal stock world of the US and Canada, a block trade is usually at least 10,000 shares of stock or $100,000 of bonds, but in practice is significantly larger. So here's what we know. Galaxy Digital, which is led by Mike Novogratz, bought at least over 100K worth of Bitcoin, most likely more in the millions, in a futures option trade where they either longed or shorted Bitcoin. This was such a large trade it was done OTC, which according to CoinDesk was done to avoid moving the price that much. And back in ICE's release about the trade, Galaxy Digital views futures as a critical institutional market tool for managing risk. And as the digital asset class continues to mature, we view the launch of Bakkt as a foundational piece of market infrastructure. So Michael and Galaxy will use this trade to manage risk and will be using Bakkt into the future. Is this because he is an institutional client who hasn't had these options yet? Or is it because he is part of the Tether Cartel and knows exactly where the price is going? Well, there is evidence that points to the second option. So back in October of 2018, Mr. Novogratz spoke at a conference in Frankfurt and answering questions about Tether said, "I think Tether didn't do a great job in terms of transparency, operating offshore," adding that the stablecoin now may need some time to regain trust. But the day after this was released, Michael goes to Twitter, saying, "I'd like to put context to these quotes, as the last thing I want to do is spread FUD. I said I thought Tether has $1 for every Tether, and that we actively traded it. The fact that almost 700 million has been redeemed in an orderly fashion is important." And who lost $850 million in October of 2018? Bitfinex and the Tether Cartel, as during this time, this article was released by CoinDesk. Customers couldn't withdraw, and Bitfinex was lying saying everything was okay. And even Mike defended them on Twitter. But as we know, this was the exact time they lost 850 million, and then just weeks later borrowed 900 million in Tether. So this is my opinion. Mike is an insider with Tether, as he knew about the crypto capital loss when others didn't, talking smack about Tether, lack of transparency, operating offshore. Then just a couple days later, when he learned of how they would fix this, aka borrowing $900 million, he was once again supporting Tether. Well, this was pretty much confirmed by the New York AG investigation. The New York AG has evidence that Tether has been serving New York customers, and one piece of the evidence showed Bitfinex preparing to onboard Michael Novogratz's Galaxy Digital, dated on October 15th, 2018, all during the time when Mike was talking smack, and then retracting and supporting. And you cannot trust a word Mike says, as once this Tether investigation madness started, he tried to distance himself, tweeting that Galaxy has zero exposure to Bitfinex or Tether. But within 2 months, he was caught with his pants down by the New York AG. So friends, based on what I see, Mr. Mike is playing both sides. Unregulated Wild West, including Tether, and now the regulated institutional products he has access to. I mean, could you resist if you knew where the price was moving? There is a chance to play a large hand, aka the Bakkt block trade, and he can see the cards, aka Tether, and the control of Bitcoin's price. I mean, I would pay attention to the guy. 3 months ago, he pretty much told us where the price was going. Back during the parabolic, almost 14K top, Mike sold at the top and explained what is going to happen with the price.
I think we're going to be in a range between 10,000 and 14. I think we put a tradable top in yesterday. It was parabolic, it was a frenzy. You know, 2 of the exchanges couldn't handle the volume, they got shot down. If you just read your crypto Twitter, it was, you know, the testosterone.
So if you think 4,000, that ship has sailed. Andrew's never getting in at 4,000.
You're not getting in at 4,000.
So he said we had put in a top and would trade in between 10,000 and 14,000. Pulling up the price chart for the months following that, he was pretty spot on. I wonder if he made any other calls. Well, in another Bloomberg article, they let us know he said this in a Galaxy Digital conference call. On a go-forward basis, Bitcoin probably consolidates somewhere between 7,000 and 10,000. Well, powder my cheeks wide, old Mikey. Pulling up the more recent BTC price, you should be the Nostradamus, not me. So what's Mike's last public words regarding where the price will move? Well, let's hear now.
My sense it's getting ready, you know, for the next leg up. I'm not sure where that is. I think it's when institutions start coming in. You know, there was a lot of front running of the hope that institutions would come in, and they just take longer than people think to go through investment committees and get set.
Well, longer than investors think, because perhaps they're still searching for a reason to own it. And if you, even though you say, you know, you got to put it in context year to date, if it is supposed to provide that hedge against, you know, bad things happening elsewhere in the world, and it's not doing that, at least in the very short term, does that call into question, you know, the reasons to own Bitcoin at all?
I don't think so at all. Like, listen, people who are buying Bitcoin aren't buying it for the next 15 days because they're worried.
Some are, Mike.
Well, but the institutions aren't, and the institutions who are making longer term decisions are making sure they've got proper custody, making sure their ducks are lined up, and they're slowly and steadily moving in. I mean, most of the big pensions in the United States, the big endowments in the United States, have already made their first bet in Bitcoin. You know, that's the Yale endowment, the Harvard endowment, the Stanford endowment, University of Pennsylvania, and so usually they're leaders. You're going to see pension funds next.
He was pretty coy about the specific numbers, but he feels like it's getting ready for its next leg up because some big endowments, Yale, Harvard, and more have made their first big purchases. So if he is actually a man of his word and not trying to trick the gosh darn public, that block OTC trade was a long. But hold up. Remember, Mike might be a Tether insider, and this trade was executed on October 1st, 2019. On October 5th, Tether released a weird statement out of the blue. They were anticipating a lawsuit based on what they call a bogus study, where Tether issuances are responsible for manipulating the cryptocurrency market. Then yesterday, on Monday, the lawsuit drops from the same lawyers who successfully sued Craig Wright in Florida. And the liability damages from the class action suit surpassed 1.4 trillion US dollars, and filed in a place where Tether will have problems and already has a case going, the Southern District of New York. I would go through the suit and findings, but that will be an entire new video coming soon. But Mikey could have known this was coming and put in an epic short. One thing that is for sure, things are about to get turbulent. Cheers. I'll see you next time.